Now, for those of you who have followed the story of JJ, JJ was abducted. I think by now, for those who had doubts, you must have been putting dots together, because JJ did name the people that abducted him. So from the time that JJ was abducted, I think that was somewhere around May, JJ has been in the hands of the state. Okay? He was first in a military facility at Minor Soko, briefly moved to Sikanze Clinic, and in the night he was driven from Sikanze Clinic at the instruction of Officer Yui into Chipata, where officially he was charged on 2 counts. He was charged with the count of aggravated robbery, namely that during the altercation in Vubwi involving a journalist called Sukwa had lost a 200 kwacha, and also his cameras were damaged, or his camera was damaged. So JJ has been charged with aggravated robbery in regards to a 200 kwacha that Sukwa claims to have lost in the process of that altercation, as well as a camera that apparently had belonged to the Post newspaper where Sukwa used to work. The other count that JJ was charged with, or has been charged with, is attempted murder. Now, attempted murder in that Sukwa claims that JJ had threatened to burn Sukwa alive. Now, the attempted murder is contrary to the propaganda that has been pushed for all these years, namely that JJ had urinated in Sukwa's mouth. I think by now, all those of you who had believed the propaganda knows that JJ did not urinate in anyone's mouth. Because if he had done that, today that matter would have been before the courts and he would be charged for that matter. What is before the courts today is that JJ had threatened to burn Sukwa alive, and so is being charged with attempted murder. So, you now do understand that JJ's health has been failing from the time that he was abducted. A few days ago, I think 2-3 days ago, we were informed that JJ had failed ill, and was rushed to the hospital. For those of you who may not be aware, JJ has had trouble with his health. Number one, his underlying condition of epilepsy got aggravated at the time he was in detention when he was abducted, and because of the torture that he went through. So he has had multiple series of seizures. The other complication that surfaced is that of hernia. He developed hernia. Okay? For those of you who understand, is that your intestines will protrude or will come out. On that fateful day when he was taken to the hospital, JJ was expected to undergo a mini operation because he was now bleeding because of the hernia. Facts are that when he was taken into the theater for operation, which lasted for almost 4 hours, the doctors strangely found a blood clot inside the ass. A blood clot. Only God knows how that blood clot came in. But you and me can only conclude that when he was tortured by the abductors, he must have had, sustained serious internal injuries. Now, strangely, this blood clot was pressing on the nerves that runs to the legs. So for some time, JJ has had numb legs from the waist to the knees. Now, we are very lucky that the doctors were able to discover this blood clot, because according to the doctors, if they had not found this clot early enough, JJ would have had a permanent paralysis. His legs would have been paralyzed permanently. So we want to thank those medical personnel who found that blood clot and they were able to release it. By the way, you must know, the fact is that he's had challenges of numb legs, not paralyzed legs, numb legs, from the knees all the way to the waist. So when they attempted to work on the bleeding that JJ experienced, they now found that blood clot and they worked on the blood clot. And I want to believe that they were now supposed to also proceed with the procedure relating to the hernia, which they did not do because of that issue they found of the blood clot. Strangely, yesterday evening, JJ was reported to be missing, I think around 22 hours. Immediately that issue happened, when JJ was found missing, I was alerted quickly by the relatives, and as I was always done, I made the public aware that JJ was missing. At this stage, let me just make this conclusion. There are two things to the issue of JJ. It's either, and I want you to mark that, it's either JJ has run away from lawful custody, in which case I can only suggest that is okay, because nobody can run away from custody and only to go and kill themselves. If indeed JJ has escaped from lawful custody on his own accord, then we can all conclude that JJ is okay, because obviously he can't run away only to go and kill himself. But if JJ did not run away on his own, then we can fear the worst. Because remember, JJ was in the custody of the correctional officers, and in the hospital, as told by Honorable Jack Mwimbu, he was being guarded by 5 officers. And he was on the 2nd floor of the Chipata hospital. So these two scenarios, you must critically analyze them. If JJ has escaped on his own, then we can all be happy, we can all conclude that he's okay. But if JJ did not run away, then a lot of questions can be asked as to where is he exactly and who has taken him. Because for all we know is that JJ is supposed to be in the hands of law enforcement, officers, the correctional officers, as well as the Zambia police. Interestingly, Honorable Jack Mwimbu yesterday gave a press statement, in which statement he confirms these facts, namely that JJ was unwell, that JJ had an issue of hernia and was taken into hospital and was worked on by the medical practitioners. He further goes on to state, the minister further goes on to state that JJ was, the medical practitioners had prescribed a remedy, namely that JJ must be sitting in salty water. So at least we can now all conclude that JJ was not faking his illness. He had 2 serious conditions, that of epilepsy as well as hernia, and he was taken into hospital because they were working on his illness. Strangely, the minister makes an assumption that maybe the mistake the state made, was to treat him humanely. According to Honorable Jack Mwimbu, is suggesting they should have treated him in a less human way. Now that's strange from the Minister of Home Affairs. He's suggesting maybe they should have treated him in a less human way. For those of you who have followed the issue of JJ, you know very well that JJ was not treated in any humane way. Because even the worst criminal in the world is given special treatment when it comes to their health. Because everybody has a right to health, even the inmates, even those who are pronounced as criminals.